Hello and welcome to navigation session 2. In this session I'm looking at handrails and aiming off. These are two skills that are particularly useful when working on compass bearings. They're sort of advanced skills for working beyond the initial just being able to take a bearing. I'm assuming everyone doing this has some skills of being able to take a bearing and read a compass already. If you don't, please speak to your leaders and see if they can give you some input. If not, find somebody else who's experienced in using a compass. These skills are really useful if you particularly get yourself into a situation where you need to use a compass to take a bearing to get off a mountain top maybe. So this is aiming off. We're going to start by making a few assumptions. One assumption is that I'm at the point marked with the yellow star. There's about 635 meters up in the Cairngorms, and I'm aiming to get to a white bridge at the bottom of that picture there. Seems relatively straightforward. I take a bearing of about 178 degrees. It's going to be at 2 kilometers. Off I go. However, the problem we will have if you just walk on a bearing is that reading a compass isn't perfectly accurate. Okay, no matter how skilled you are, there's always a margin of error. The more skilled you are, the smaller the margin of error. However, it's normally 4 or 5 degrees, and that could mean you can miss the bridge by 150 meters. That's not too bad because we're using the river as a catching feature, so we're going to stop when we get to the river, and then we're going to find the bridge. However, you've walked to the river, you stop, still thick fog, you can't see the bridge. Do you turn left? Do you turn right? Do you go east? Do you go west? And you could find yourself wandering miles and miles up a track thinking, well, I know the bridge is this way, it's got to be this way, I just must have gone off the mountain slightly wrong. You start second guessing yourself, and you could add minutes, hours to your day if you get this wrong. So there's a solution to this. If you aim to one side of the bridge, you know you're going to be on one side of the bridge. Okay, this is why I call it aiming off. You're not aiming for the point you want, you're aiming to one side of it. And then we'll use that river once again as a catching feature, and we'll handrail along the river back to White Bridge there. So we're going to aim about 185 degrees in this example. Plus or minus 4 or 5 degrees will leave us in that sort of range across the that grid square there. And then we know once we get down to that river, okay, we walk down the hill, we then turn left when we hit the river, we walk along there, could be up to 300-400 meters, and then we hit the bridge. That's okay, rather than walking 400 meters that way, then have to walk 400 meters back. We know and we've got confidence in our direction of travel at all times there. So that's aiming off. So handrails, this is somewhere from Central Highlands, up on the Grey Corries. I'm going from the gold star pointed at the top of the map there, and we're going to go down to the gold star at the top of the mountain there at 958. This is a route I took last summer. It's pathless. There are no paths up here. So we're looking at how can I navigate from that point across. Now, I could take a bearing and try walking straight up that hill, but there's some really steep bits I'd end up going across, some craggy bits. It could be a bit dangerous. I don't particularly fancy doing that. I want to try and find a nice easy route where I can. That's going to be easy both in terms of my legs, but also easy in terms of navigation. So this is where we can do some handrailing. Now, on the 1 to 25,000 scale map, this is a 1 to 50. There are a few extra features on here and different little bits of fence, but this map shows the full journey, as it were. So I'm going to talk through the route I took, which will be following the fence line where I could there. So it's a really easy thing to navigate on. I was fortunate I did this in a nice day, but actually if this is a rubbish day, thick clag or snow or hail or fog, whatever, you'd probably want to be finding a way of navigating easily. So I'm going to follow the fence line. Then I'm going to take a bearing across to the crags on the eastern outcrop of that peak, and then I'll walk up to the. So this is the route more or less I took. I didn't cross the fence line. It's just how I drew it. So you follow the fence line up. Once you get to the corner of the fence line there, I took a bit back bearing just to make sure I'm at the right corner of the fence. And then I was able to take a bearing across the hill there, along to the crag. I was quite fortunate actually. Once I found that crag, there was a bit of a footpath. But once I hit that crag, I just knew if I keep going downhill, I'm going the wrong way, so I need to keep going uphill. It became quite easy to handrail along the edge of the slope there. But you can use handrails like I did in the earlier example as a river to guide myself. Even if there's not a path, I can use streams, rivers, in this case a fence line, as a guide to get myself from point A to point B. So other skills and activities you can try, okay, is to develop your map reading skills of just using contours. Now this is something that mountain leaders will do. They won't navigate using fence lines or paths because you can't always guarantee that the path is going to be there. It might be a sheep track and the sheep might go in a different direction to where you think the path should go and you just get yourself completely lost. Equally, fences get blown down, fences get removed, okay, forests get cut down. The only thing that you can guarantee is very unlikely to change is the shape of the earth in terms of hills. Okay, so get really used to reading the contours and looking at them and understanding exactly what you'd expect to see underground. So look at the contours on the map, then look at the ground in front of you. So this is an area up in the Lake District, wild camps here before, and there's a couple of nice little spots where you can start identifying sort of flat areas of ground where the streams cut in, and you can identify where you are based on the shape of the ground around you. Okay. One thing you can do as a little test is in an area that you know, if you're particularly going out with other people that aren't as experienced as some of the people that might train you, you can go and do some night navigation or navigate in low visibility and try and find really awkward little features. So in this case, you could try finding that little pond there. If that was at night, that could be a little challenge to find. Equally, you might try finding something like this little what we call a re-entrant, that little dip in the contour. That will show a little dip in the ground where you are. And those are little features you can go and try and find on a map, and it's always a bit of a challenge to spot them and get to them. And they're not as easy as saying, look, there's a trig point like there is up right at the top here on top of Handrails. Okay, you know you're there then. Actually, navigating to smaller points is a little bit more of a challenge. Useful to take a sat nav with you there because then you can really check your own understanding of. I say I'm here on a map. My sat nav says, "Oh, I've got it right," and that's something I use quite regularly. I'll take a sat nav out when I'm practicing my navigation just to confirm that I know where I am at, and it's also a bit of a backup if I do get myself completely lost. And we all get lost, but it's always worth going out and trying these skills in I'm going to say a safer environment, one where you know your way back. Okay, rather than having to try all these techniques out when it's all gone wrong on a day hike. You don't want to be there. You want to make sure you're confident with your navigation before you go out on a more challenging route or hike. Anyway, thank you. I hope that's useful.